Here it is Tuesday, 13 June, year of our Lord 2023. We're about to start a new session for Money Study Group. If you're a student at the University of Houston at the Bauer College of Business, this is for you. I'm a little bit early. I just wanted to do a sound test. So if you're joining us on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, please leave a comment. Let me know you're listening. I'll see your comment. I probably won't reply to it right now because I am in the middle of teaching this lecture. So this is summer school session. This is actually session number 3 and 4. So we're doubling up each week. So this week we're going to talk about credit reports, and we're going to highlight the difference between credit reports and credit scores. Tons of information inside of the course, the online course at missionalmoney.com. So you'll need to jump in there and do your homework, do your reading. That's where you're going to get all of the information about credit reports and credit scores. And there's a lot of information, and it's really pretty helpful. We're going to be focusing on credit and debt and strategies that you can use to eliminate debt and reduce debt and to manage credit. So you're going to be learning a lot about credit this semester. So I haven't started the Zoom meeting yet. So if you're joining on Facebook or YouTube, I'm just chatting. I'm doing it. I also wanted to do a quick check to make sure that the post is coming through. It looks like it is. And we don't have those little funny markers that say my image didn't come through. I've been dealing with that for a couple of months. I think I have it figured out. I've used several different tools. I'm using Flickr Live right now, so I got a premium account with Flickr. So when I post an image to WordPress, it grabs the link and it hosts the image at Flickr. So who cares, right? I care. It's pretty helpful. Okay. Let me see if I can get my screen back. I lost my mouse, and I seem to have lost my... I don't know why I lost my mouse. Okay, there we go. We're back. Okay, now if I can get my mouse... Gosh. I'm using the mouse on my MacBook. So I'm going to jump into the Zoom room and we will let some folks in. Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. Welcome, if you would. Let's do a sound check. Can you hear me okay on... Can you hear me? On Zoom? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Reem, can you hear me? Testing. You can chat in if you want. Oh man, I'm having trouble with my... Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I need to know if you can hear me. Yes. Okay, thanks, Carolyn. I appreciate that. Good morning. Welcome aboard. For some reason, I lost my mouse. It's not reading. And I'm not sure why. It's a magic mouse, and it's lost its magic. So I'm having to reach over here and mouse on my MacBook, which is not optimal. Okay, so you can see me, you can hear me, you can see my screen, right? You see my screen, hopefully. Yep, awesome, thanks. So we're going to talk about this week's assignment. I'm going to review this week's assignment, which is actually 2 assignments. One is credit report. You're going to get your free credit report. I'm going to show you how to do that, or you'll see how to do that in your homework assignment, actually. But you're going to grab a free credit report and you're going to review it. And then you're going to learn quite a bit about credit reports and the difference between a credit report and your credit score. I'm not looking for your credit score, although I'm sure you'll want to know what is your credit score. But this assignment, the credit report and FICO scores, this assignment is really it's really about getting a credit report. So I'm going to ask you in your assignment this week to grab your free credit report. So talk about the credit, how you get the credit report in just a minute. But in addition to the credit report, I want you to make a list of your creditors. So let's scroll down. So you're going to do a credit report, and you'll see, you're going to learn about FICO scores. You're going to take a quiz in Money Study Group as well. So make sure you do that. That will be part of the assignment, and you'll be graded on that. But so before I talk, I want you to create a credit list too. I want you to create a list of your creditors, which would basically just be who do you owe money to. Now, you probably already have this. Hopefully you already have this. But if you don't have a list of everybody you owe money to, and if you don't owe money to anyone, if you don't have any loans, awesome. Just leave a comment and say you don't have any loans. But if you do, I want you to make a list of the institution or the folks who you owe the money to. And that list should have column 1 is who do you owe the money to, column 2 is how much do you owe, column 3 would be, when is it due, and then what is the payment, what is the monthly payment amount when it does become due. And you're going to put those loans, I'm sorry, I keep having to admit folks. Welcome aboard, everyone. So you're going to put that information in your financial planning portal too. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But to start with, I want you to know you're going to have to get a free credit report this week. That's your assignment. If you don't have a Social Security number, then you're not going to be able to get a credit report. So here, I'm going to show you the alternative assignment. So this is what I call assignment B. It's the alternative assignment. And I'm going to need your help. If you're listening, if you're paying attention, there will be students this week that will want to ask me this question, and I probably won't even reply to the email because I'm going to answer the question now. And the question is, do we have to do assignment B? Do you have to do this alternative assignment, assignment B? You're welcome to do it if you want to. I will not deduct points if you do both assignments. However, if you can get your free credit report, that is your assignment. But for those students who don't have a Social Security number, if you're international, if you don't have a Social Security number, you won't be able to get a credit report. Now that's different than you saying, I don't have any credit. I don't owe anybody any money. I haven't. That's a little different. Your credit report, if you have a Social Security number, is still something you should try to get. So give it a try, even if you don't have any creditors. That's great. Just tell me I don't have any creditors, and then you can celebrate. I'll celebrate with you. But your credit list, the list of the people you owe money to, that's a simple kind of part of this assignment. But getting your credit report is the main thing. You're going to get a free credit report, and you're going to review it. It's usually easy to just download the PDF, and you can pop that into your assignment if you want to use that as your confirmation. But frankly, I don't care to see your credit report. I want you to see your credit report. I want you to learn about what's on your credit report, because you can get a free credit report 3 times a year. You can get a free credit report. So each of the credit reporting bureaus will give you a free credit report once a year. So there are 3 of them. There's actually 4 now, but you can get one basically every quarter. And so I want you to get in the habit of checking your credit report. Now, the credit report is different than your credit score. You may have a bank app that tells you your credit score instantly right now all the time and tells you when it changes, and that's great. You're welcome to tell me about that, but that's not the assignment. The assignment is the credit report. And again, if you don't have a Social Security number, then you will not be able to get a credit report, and you will then need to do assignment B. But if you can get your credit report, you don't have to do assignment B. And that's the question that I will get from all of the students who are not on this call, not on this Zoom call, and who probably don't watch the Zoom meeting. Yeah, that happens every week, it seems, especially in summer school. So if folks, I'm letting folks into the Zoom room right now who didn't hear that, and they're going to want to ask that question. And so, like I said, that's a question that I'm not going to answer in an email because I answered it here. So please, if you're here and you're listening and you just heard what I said about this assignment and assignment B in particular, if you would be so kind as to post that into GroupMe for other students who have that question, because they're not going to get that answer from me. So that's the big part of this first assignment. And again, we have 2 assignments this week, as always, in summer school. So I want to talk a little bit, answer some questions that I got throughout the week, and I'll do that in a minute. But first, I want to just see if you have any questions, because this is your time to ask me anything. And so I'm going to go pretty quickly. Most of the work you're going to do this semester, and this week in particular, is going to be in Money Study Group. Obviously, your assignments are posted in Canvas, but the information that you're going to consume this week related to these 2 assignments is packed into Money Study Group, the online portal for your online course. In addition to that, you're going to be starting your financial plan. I see most of you have already done that. You've already jumped into the Bayrock financial planning portal. It's actually built by Right Capital, and you've already logged in. You've already set up your plan, and that's awesome. You are ahead of the game. So we'll talk a little bit about that this week, but mostly that'll be next week. So any questions? Any questions so far? I'm looking at the chat, and I don't see any questions, so I'm going to take a breath and sip some coffee. Okay, let's move on then. So before I move into the second assignment, I want to, by the way, the second assignment is First Memories of Money. This assignment is really the parental interview. So I'll talk about that in a minute. It's a super easy assignment, but it's also a really important assignment. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get back to, this is kind of this credit report, learning about credit. It's a big part of this semester. So in the next few weeks, we're going to do an assignment called Credit Crush. And in that assignment, you're going to basically, inside of your financial planning portal, you're going to take your existing debt. And if you don't have any debt, again, don't worry about that. I'm going to set this next assignment up. The Credit Crush assignment will be set up in such a way that you're going to have some make-believe credit. So you're going to be setting up your financial plan as if you're 10 years older than you actually are. And you're going to see in the next few assignments, and this is just kind of a forward view, so you can start to think about how this course is going to unfold with respect to the financial plan that you're going to build for yourself. And you're going to change your birth date, pretend you're 10 years older, just change the date of birth in your financial plan. You'll then be 10 years older, but in addition to that, you're going to do a little research, and you're going to figure out if you got the dream job that you want to get when you graduate, if you got that job based on your major in college now, assuming you got the job that you're studying for in the industry that you're studying for, and you got exactly the job you really want to get. How much money would you make if you got that job? And what company would that job be with? Because that's going to be a big part of your financial plan. Because in your financial plan, I'm going to ask you to do a little research, figure out what will your income be, assuming you get that dream job, and what company will it be with, because then you'll be able to tell me and you'll know for yourself how much do they match in their 401k plan. So you are going to be building a comprehensive financial plan for yourself, and it will be, for most of you, based on some assumptions, some future assumptions. Assuming you're 10 years older and you're managing your income and your income and outflow as if you actually have a budget and you actually have income from that job that you're going to hopefully get when you graduate. So that's where we're going. So I just want to set the table as we start to get into the financial planning portal. I want you to kind of have an idea where we're going to go with that so that you can start to think about not just in the abstract of your financial plan, but how does it actually affect your life. So I'm going to give you some debt. You're going to buy a house. You're going to have to do some more research. Once you know how much money you're going to make, you're going to buy a house. You're going to go find a house you want to buy in the neighborhood you want to live in based on the job that you're working, the company and location where you're working. So that's coming, and that's a big piece of debt, your mortgage. So you're going to create a mortgage for yourself, assuming you bought a house. And you're going to create some credit card debt for yourself, assuming that you're going to buy that car that you've always wanted. And yeah, it's just imaginary numbers, but I want to show you how to manage credit in the most effective way possible. And that's part of what we're doing. And the next thing is I'm going to have you go spend at least 10 grand on a credit card. And then you're going to have to do a little research to figure out what is the interest these days on a credit card? What's the interest these days on not just the credit card, but the car payment? So you're going to have at least a $10,000, well, it should be more like 30 grand for a car, maybe 50, depending on the car you choose, and at least 10 grand on a credit card. And then whatever your house costs, that mortgage, you're going to have to set all that up in your financial plan. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But that's what we're doing today. We're setting the table to learn. You need to learn and understand about credit. And so your credit report is a tool, it's a resource, it gives you tons of information. And some of you are going to discover some things that will surprise you when you look at your credit report. So that's this week's assignment, is just to grab that credit report, understand what makes your FICO scores go up or down. And so again, in the weeks ahead, you're going to learn how to manage the debt. I'm going to teach you some strategies that will help you, and anyone you can share this with. But I'm going to teach you how to create some debt payment strategies that are really powerful. And when you see and you understand how expensive credit is, most students who, once they get that, they're like, wow, I want to be really conscious of how I use debt and credit in my life. So it's a huge part of financial planning. It's a huge part of managing your money in such a way that you can be successful. And certainly if you have bought into the big goal, the big idea of this course to become a millionaire by the time you're 50, if that's something you want to do, credit is a huge part of that whole process. And so we start with a credit report. And that credit list, again, that's part of this assignment. And you will update your Bayrock Right Capital plan. So now if you haven't set that up, you will want to do that. There's instructions, again, in Money Study Group. But you will find these living expenses. You'll find that in maybe I should jump into Right Capital and put I want to show you where that is in Right Capital. So let me jump into Right Capital real quick. Hopefully this works. I'll log in and I'll go to a plan and I'll show you what I want you to do. Hopefully this works. Sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to jump into Billy's plan. Billy Adams. So I'm just going to open his plan. Now, if you haven't done this yet, this may seem a little abstract. If you haven't set up your Right Capital financial plan yet, then you're probably clueless about what I'm showing you right now. And if that's the case, well, just trust me, you won't be clueless after you do it. After you set up, you'll have to create your account. So let's see. I wanted to show you in this assignment, the credit report. This is a big part of the overall semester. You really need to start thinking about your expenses. And so right now, I just want to see what expenses you will put into your plan. So where will we do that? Let me go back to Right Capital. In your plan, when you go to Profile, you're going to start out, when you set up your plan, you have to go through 6 different data cards. So just think of your financial plan as a whole lot of data. It's like it's a computer system. That's really what it is. And it's all based on mathematics. But the entire comprehensive financial plan for you, for me, for anyone, starts with basic information like your birthday. How old are you? How long are you going to live? How much do you make? How much income do you have? What kind of expenses do you have? What are you spending? What kind of investments do you have? How much are you saving? How much are they growing? So all of that information, turns out, is just a bunch of little data cards that go into this financial plan, and they become part of all of the formulas that create the trajectory for your financial plan for 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. So that's what we're doing. So a big important part, I'm showing you these 6 cards. So I'm under Profile right here. You can see if I go to the left, we go to Dashboard. You'll see that you'll have your dashboard. And when you go there, you'll be on your snapshot, which is probably pretty empty right now. But what I want you to look at is on Profile, because this is the first thing you're going to do. You're going to go and set up, starting with your name, your age, which means your birthday. If you're married or you have a spouse or children, you would add those. That's the family section. But then when you get to this card right here, expenses, see what I did. I want you to see how I got here. I went to Profile, and you've got Blueprint over there. That's cool. That's something we'll get into later, but we've got family expenses, savings, income, goals, and net worth. So those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data cards, or 6 data cards. Yeah, it should be 6. Starting with who are you, what's your birthday, you'll add that to your plan. But then when you get to expenses, you'll notice you have these expenses. And I want you to click on that, and you'll see this one right now. Billy has a simple approach. So he's just put in $12,000 for monthly expenses. That's okay for Billy. My clients sometimes give me more detail. I try to get more detail when I'm working on a financial plan with a client. But for you are required to not use the simple approach. I want you to use the detailed approach. And that's where you get to tell me, again, what do you think some reasonable expenses are for your life? And that I want you to start thinking about your expenses, not in terms of what you're actually spending, because many of you you may be living on campus and you don't have normal expenses because you're in college. Some of you are living at home, and so you don't have normal expenses because you're living at home. So I want you to think about your expenses in the context of this course and the work that you do in your financial plan. I want you to think about your expenses in terms of what will your expenses be once you become independent and you're on your own and you're managing your own money and you have some income and you have expenses. So that's really what this data card, it's a data card is what it is. That's what this stands for. Come on, I'm trying to get it. Okay, so that's the expenses. So when I go back to the credit report, to your assignment, you see it's part of your assignment to go into your financial plan and tell me, what do you think these expenses should be for you? And I want you to just start thinking about just regular expenses, not so much how much do I spend on Wi-Fi, because maybe you're not spending anything on Wi-Fi. But what I want you to do is think about what is the cost of Wi-Fi? What is the cost of rent? What is the cost of electricity? I want you to start to think about what do those expenses actually look like, not I don't care what you're spending today, because for most of you, it's totally irrelevant in terms of what the actual cost of living is for you. Even though you're not spending the money for your own cost of living, someone is. Somewhere in your life you're getting internet or phone service or transportation or housing. All of those things that may not be in a budget for you today will be in a budget of sorts. They will be expenses related to your life. So I want you to tell me, one of the things I'll be looking at throughout your work this semester is just, do you get it? Do you get how much stuff costs? Or are you still just, not really paying attention? And so this screen will become, or this data card it'll be part of your financial plan from this day forward. And hopefully even after you finish this course, you're welcome to continue to use the financial planning portal for at least a year. And if you want it for longer, I'm happy to let you have it for longer. But this is a powerful tool. It's an important tool. And I want you to start thinking about expenses, a financial plan, it's income, expenses. Your goals, they turn out to be expenses. So if you say in your goal section, and you're going to be filling this out for yourself. So when you get to goals, you have the liberty, the freedom, the flexibility to put in whatever goals you want to put in. And when you put in a goal, it has an impact on your financial plan. So you're going to see, when you get closer to your capstone assignment, you're going to see basically what are the results of all the things I put in my financial plan. Is it a 0 probability of success, or is it a high probability of success? So just for fun, I'm going to jump into Billy's. I just clicked retirement right there. So you'll have the same functionality in your plan. And once you start building data cards, you'll see that your plan has a probability of success, and you'll be able to jump in and see what is driving that. You'll be able to see how much you have at the end of your plan, how much money you have left. So all those things are based on the data cards that you put in. And if you put in accurate information, the more accurate it is, the more accurate these trajectories will be for you. And again, this semester, I don't expect you to become an expert, but I do expect you to put some time in and understand, how we're constructing a financial plan with the basic building blocks, such as expenses, income, expenses, savings, because as we go through the semester, you're going to learn more and more about each of these individual elements of a financial plan. I'm going to teach you that, but I want you to understand how it all fits together in a financial plan. So I'm not looking for you to become an expert in this software at all. I do want you to pay attention to your data cards, though, and the first one I'm asking you to pay attention to is this one right here called expenses. And when you tap on that, you can't use the simple approach. I want you to use the detailed approach, and that is part of your homework for this week. Okay, so we'll come back to the financial planning portal many times, but to start out, it's just a matter of get your name in there, create your account, put your name in there. You don't have to put goals in this week, but you do have to put some expenses in. And you need to grab a screenshot. And speaking of screenshots, I did get several questions this week it wasn't even questions. It was comments that I gave you, several of you, on your homework assignments. So every assignment this semester, you're going to be doing screenshots. So I try to, let me just tell you one of my big goals in teaching this course. And it's not my goal, it's the Bauer College of Business. One of the major important things we want to teach students is to be good communicators. Clear communication is so important in the business world. And so part of the way that we communicate these days is through email, through reports. And so that's why you get, when you do your articles, that's why I ask you to use good formatting. Because if you've ever read a report that's just words, that's one way to communicate, is just a bunch of words. But I believe, and I think I'm not alone, that formatting, like when you make headers and you put things in italics and you put something in bold font, that attracts my eyes. So when I read quickly, I'm seeing what you've emphasized in your article. What you're telling me is kind of the organization of your article, the structure, and what you're trying to highlight. And so every assignment that you get in this course has that element of becoming a better communicator through the way that you write. And so it's not just because I like to see pretty formatting, which you guys have done. Some of you have done an amazing job with formatting, and I appreciate that. The pictures, the colors, that's all great. Some of you are going above and beyond, doing way more than I expect. Most of you are doing just a great job, though, of, communicating well in writing by using good formatting. And so that brings us to the screenshots. If you want to do a professional report, and your articles in this course need to be professional reports, because that's what I expect. And hopefully that's what you expect for yourself. You need practice. And a few of you really need some practice in how you put together a report. And it's, I would suggest you start with learning how to take a proper screenshot. And if you don't know how to do that, there's an article in Money Study Group that gives you a tutorial for how to do that. But you will get a deduction if you take a picture of your screen and you pop that into your report. That's not acceptable. You'll get deductions, and that is a recurring theme this week for several students. So again, if you turned your assignment in early, and many of you did, but many of you did not. So I want to encourage you again. You get 10 extra points. That's 20% of a bump just by turning your assignments in early. That's early by Friday at 3 p.m. Now this weekend I was kind of busy. I had to go to Austin. Didn't have to. I had a graduation to go to. So I didn't get around to grading until later, which means, a lot of students who got in a little bit late, maybe Saturday or even Sunday, whenever I got around to grading, you got the benefit of the extra points because I You were sitting in my queue when I jumped in. So that happens. But the goal is turn your assignment in, complete it by 3 p.m. on Friday. And here's what I'll do for you. Whenever there's a situation like with the screenshots not being up to par, you'll get a comment from me. It'll be like, hey, fix the screenshots or you're going to get a 15-point deduction on the screenshots. Just for screenshots, you get 15% because you need to know how to do a screenshot. So you'll get a comment from me and it'll be like, fix that, please. And then when you fix it, you'll put a little comment in the little text bar, text section when you submit that assignment again, and you'll say, hey, I'm resubmitting this. Please give me the extra points, because if you turned it in early and then I gave you a deduction and I gave you some pushback and you make the corrections and you resubmit it and you submit it on time, you will still get the extra points. And so I don't know why, well, I do know why you wouldn't turn your assignments in early. I know why. I do know why. But I still want to encourage you to try really hard. And if this is the only course that you actually do your homework early, I promise you it will pay off. It will make the end of this course so much better for you. And I'm assuming if you're taking summer school, this is probably going to be the easiest course you take, even though there's a lot of homework. If you do it early, you're going to get extra points. And by the time we get to the end of the semester, you're going to have this course, you're going to be basically done early because you're going to have enough points, 950 points, to get an A. And you'll be able to then go spend some time with your more difficult assignments. So that's my sermon. A couple more screenshots in here. By the way, you don't have to do this, but when you start setting up your plan, you'll notice that you can link your credit cards. So when I go to profile, I go to net worth, you'll see that link account right there. And I don't want to, sometimes this is a little controversial because students are like, Professor Munchback, you're asking me to give you my personal information. Well, far be it from me to try to get your personal information. But look, if you have a bank app on your phone, every time you use your debit card or credit card, that transaction is being recorded. And frankly, that's a pretty smooth operation, a pretty smooth way for you to keep track of your spending. And you're going to have to keep track of your spending this semester. You're going to have to show me that you've done that. And so if you use your bank app, that's great. That's fine. You can download that data anytime you want. If you use mint.com, which is the number one survey choice, most people love mint.com. It's got great security. The only drawback to mint.com is you get a ton of people trying to sell you something every time you sign up for their free mint.com. It's a great tool. So here's the thing, Bayrock and Right Capital, our tool is almost identical to mint.com in terms of the functionality, the security, and what it can do. The only difference is you don't get any marketing. Nobody's going to try to sell you something. But to take advantage of that, again, I'm not trying to sell you on this. I just want you to know it's available if you want to take advantage of it. You can link your accounts so you can click on that aggregation. Let's see if it'll let me. Yeah, so it'll take you to this screen where you can actually search for any, like I'm with Wells Fargo. I have a credit card with Wells Fargo, so I could link my card. I've already done that. So anyway, that's called, if you want to, I'm going to go back here just to show you why I was showing you that, because it's one thing to put in your expenses. Okay, you're going to do that. You're going to say, here's my expenses. But if you want your financial plan to capture those transactions automatically and build them into your financial plan, which is a really cool feature. I pay a lot of money to be able to let my clients have access to this kind of tool because I think it's great. and I use it. But anyway, that function doesn't work if you don't link your credit cards. So if you want the function of having a built-in budget, you have access to that in this course in your financial planning portal, and that's how you make that happen. So you saw that, right? I'm on profile, I'm under net worth, and there's that link account button. That's certainly something you can take advantage of if you want to. But again, please, no emails saying that I'm trying to get you to do something that you're not comfortable with for whatever reason, security, somebody trying to sell you something. But again, if you're using mint.com or even your own bank app, you're already giving them that information, and this tool just aggregates that. It doesn't give access to those accounts, it just reads the transactions. So just something to think about. Okay, so let's see if I missed anything on the credit report. If you've got any questions on this credit report assignment, you're going to get your free credit report. You're going to create a list of creditors, and you're going to update your financial plan. And you're going to upload one document to Canvas. Even though I say Blackboard here, it's actually Canvas now. So there's that. That's that assignment. And again, for those of you who may have come late, if you don't have a Social Security number, you won't be able to get a credit report. So if that's your situation, you can then go ahead and do assignment B. If you want to do assignment B and you did get a credit report, feel free to do that, but you're not going to get any extra points. You won't get any deductions, though, if you do both. But that's the answer to the question. If you don't have a Social Security number, then you have to do assignment B. If you have a Social Security number and you can get a credit report, you do not have to do assignment B. That's there only for students with no Social Security number. Okay, that's that assignment. And I don't see any comments. Somebody leave a comment in the chat just so I know you're here. I've been talking too much. Can you still hear me? Did all that make sense? Did you get what you wanted for Christmas? Oh, good, here we go. Here, good, still here, good. Nobody telling me about what you got for Christmas, but okay, fine. Matang, you got what you wanted for Christmas? Okay, I'll pretend that's what you're saying. Okay, let's go to, yes.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure, no problem. I don't mind.
So for the assignment, you mentioned how we have to put in expenses that we expect to have in the future.
Correct.
Do we also update our age, our goals, our everything else?
You will do that, but you don't have to do that this week. In fact, you don't have to do either of those this week. This week, all I want you to do is I want you to spend some time on these expenses, and I want you to be thinking about what are these expenses going to be for you once you're out of school and working. I want you to just start to think about the cost of living. That's the main thing I want you to do this week.
Okay. And I'm able to get my credit report from the bank app that I have.
Cool.
Is there other ways to get it?
Yeah.
Or could I do it from there?
You can do it from there, but just make sure you're getting a credit report, not your credit score.
Okay.
Because that's one thing that causes quite a bit of confusion is I'll get a student who does their assignment and they say, here's my credit score, here's what my bank app told me, but it's not really, it doesn't have nearly as much information as your credit report will have. So I would follow the links that are in the assignment that takes you to, here I'll show you, I'll open it up real quick. If I can, so yeah, this link right here, it's going to be in your assignment. It'll take you to this website and you'll be able to request a free credit report by either of these 3 reporting bureaus.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? That was a good question. Okay. Then I'm going to kind of wrap it up with the next assignment, which is really super easy, but it's an important assignment. Let me get that assignment up. It's a parental interview. So I call it First Memories of Money because one of the things you're going to do is you're going to ask in this interview, you're going to ask some questions that may seem a little odd, but I want you to just be considerate. Here's the assignment in a nutshell. I want you to go to someone in your family, someone in the next generation older. It can't be a roommate. It can't be a cousin. It can be an uncle or an aunt or a grandparent. So that's what I would stick to. Grandparents. It could be a parent. That's why we call it the parental interview. But here's the purpose of this assignment. For one thing, you're going to read a couple of stories that I put in my book, Make Your Money Count. I try to ask this question to everybody that I meet with, especially the first time when I'm trying to get to know someone and trying to figure out if I can really help them create a financial plan that will kind of move the needle on their life and help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And to do that as a financial planner, it's really helpful if I understand who they are and what matters most to them. And so I ask sometimes they seem a little odd, but they actually have a tremendous benefit when you ask the right questions. And one of the questions I ask folks just to tell me, what's your first memory of money? Like maybe it was your first paycheck. Maybe it was your birthday when you were a kid and you got money for your birthday. Maybe it was a tooth fairy. I don't know what your first memory of money is. Maybe it was the first paycheck you got. Like when I think about my first memories of money, I think about when I was a kid and I was learning what money was, where it came from, and how I could get more of it. And I have tons of memories about money because money was kind of important when I was a kid, because money was the thing you had to have to get the stuff you wanted. And so I tell stories about that. But in a meeting, what I want to do is I want to understand, when I'm meeting with a family, a couple, a client, I want to understand, what's your first memory of money? And then I kind of set the table and I listen. And usually what happens is, and I can't say this happens the same with college students because it's not quite the same, but it still happens. I mean, if we were in a room together and if I could actually see you, I would be saying the things I'm saying now, and I would be talking about first memories of money, and I would start to see on your faces like, oh, I'm thinking about a memory. And usually what happens is when I start to ask people to think about their first memories of money, is the very first memory that comes to mind about money when you were young. If it's an older person like me, I'm an older person, they tend to go back to like their first paycheck, their first job, the first thing they did to earn money, and they'll tell you the story. And that story of their first memory of money becomes something that really helps me understand how they think about money. And so you're going to read some stories, and in your homework, I share some things with you, some of my experience in asking people these questions, and some of my own first memories of money. But I really want you just to think about that idea of a first memory of money, because it's one of the questions I want you to ask in this interview. And I want you to think about, who will you interview? You can interview your mom, your dad, your grandparent, one of your grandparents, both of your grandparents, an aunt, and uncle, not your roommate, not a cousin, not somebody your age, not a friend. This is a parental, somebody older than you, and here's why. I want you to find someone in your life who you look up to, who you think has demonstrated a certain level of responsibility and success in how they manage money. And I want you to choose that person for those reasons. because for some reason you believe that that person has something that they could share with you, something they could contribute to your life that might be able to help you on your journey. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about, who is that person? Who will you talk to? Who will you ask to do this interview with? And so that's number one, is just pick the right person. Pick the person that you think has something to share that can benefit you, that can help you. And the questions you're going to ask, they're listed in your assignment. And you can ask any question you want, but mainly I want you to select the right person, and I want you to be very careful to recognize and understand, before you do this interview, understand and recognize that sometimes money and conversations about money can be painful. They can be difficult. There's a lot of shame involved in people's experience with money sometimes. There's also sometimes some pretty good things. And the person that you choose to share their story with you, I want you just to be aware that maybe you'll ask some questions that possibly could be awkward. So just be okay with that. Just be present, be considerate, be respectful, be grateful. Okay? Think about what I just said. Be present, be considerate, and mainly be grateful, be thankful, be aware that you're asking someone to share something that may be difficult for them to share, or maybe not. Maybe it's not difficult. Maybe they're thrilled to share it with you. But either way, you chose this person because you think they can help you in a way. So I want you to say that. I want you to help acknowledge to them, I am asking you, I've chosen you for this assignment because fill in the blank. You communicate to them why you chose them, and then just be very thankful that they're willing to share with you. And I promise you, just that will make this a meaningful experience for you and for them. And not only will it be a meaningful experience, it very likely will be a tremendously helpful learning experience in the context of managing money. And that's my hope, and that's my goal, and that's the purpose for this assignment. So it's not like other assignments. There's no technical right or wrong answer, and you don't even really have to do an article on this one. I mean, you don't have to do formatting and screenshots and whatnot. This is just some time that you spend with a person that you choose, who you believe can make a difference in your life by sharing their experience about money. And that's really what you're doing, is learning, listening, and appreciating someone who might be able to give you some helpful insights about managing money, and especially in your own family. At times this could be one of those assignments that surprises you because it turns out to be way, way more valuable than you expected. And that's what I hope happens. It could be a dud too. It could be like, it was okay, it was hard, or whatever. But, I would suggest you go into this assignment without a whole lot of expectations. Just go in with the awareness that it could be difficult, and that you're asking someone to share something with you that's important. Any questions about that? Parental interview. So you'll see, and don't forget, you do have a quiz. So you'll be taking a quiz. You have to get 80%. You will grab a screenshot of the quiz, even though this assignment doesn't really require screenshots. I lied. It does have one screenshot for sure, the quiz. So don't forget that. I think that's it. There's a video here. So this will be in Canvas as well, with the instructions. But that's the assignment. That's the 2 assignments for this week, and we are pretty much out of time. So I'm going to pause, and if you have any questions, now's a good time to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you farewell until next time. Going once. Going twice. And that's it. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next time. If you have any questions, I know many of you are answering questions in GroupMe, and I appreciate it. I haven't even looked at GroupMe. I'm hoping it's going well. If it's not, feel free to let me know. If there's anything that's not being answered in GroupMe, I won't know unless you tell me. And I promise I haven't logged in to check out your comments. That's your space. I will log in if you need me to for any reason. But otherwise, I appreciate all your help in helping one another. And I appreciate those of you who ask good questions in GroupMe as well. If you have questions that you can't get answered in GroupMe, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. But don't ask me the question about assignment B, because I won't answer that email, because I already answered it a couple of times here. So fair enough? Okay. You guys have a great week. See you next time.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to